Attention, please.
And now, it's Cutter's Rockcast.
Thanks for taking the time.
Wait, that's my line.
Oh, yeah? I'm looking now. Is anything embarrassing in the background? Any bongs? Nope. We're good. Everything looks good.
I would, I think you're good.
Okay, hold on.
There you go. As long as it wasn't booze, you'd be all right. I would point my camera down, then you could see my mess. But no, I'm not going to do that.
See, we on Zoom, we can be our best selves.
Exactly. It's not even. It's just random guitars on the floor.
Good. Are you in your garage?
What's that?
Your house?
My basement.
Basement. Yeah, I see. I see the light. I see the window up high.
Awesome. It's one of those things, you make work right when the pandemic goes.
I know.
I talked on the phone at that point, but
well, how are we going to go back to normal? It's so weird.
Do you want to?
Kind of. I mean, like, I really want to play shows, but
that part of it, absolutely.
Having to be on like socially, like, and no awesome excuse to get out of anything.
Right.
Kind of sucks.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've gone to a couple concerts. I don't know if you have.
Not yet.
But I turned down going to a couple others just because of that reason. You know what? I don't feel like dealing with people today.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Amy Lee of Evanescence. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. A guitar and a bass in the background, and a keyboard. I like the motif.
There's more.
It's like you're a
mic.
musician.
It's almost like I do this for a living. I got
weird.
Yeah,
that's
drums back there.
Oh yeah, there they are.
Fully functional space for creation of all types. Anybody can come here. We can jam.
I love that. Is that the home place? Is that the place to write? That the place to get together?
Yeah, this is my little studio in the backyard of our house, and we did some writing here as a group a few times last year. Well, not last year, the year before last in the fall, and then like at the beginning of 2020. But I've spent a ton of time in here by myself. This is where I come and like kind of work in the computer and on the keyboards and just like go deep on like lyrics and sounds and stuff. So
see, that is the beautiful thing about technology and where it's gone, is the fact that we can do that part of it, instead of having to like, okay, I got to book some studio time. I gotta,
and then the time I'm sitting there like waiting to push record and I feel stupid because it sounds bad 20 times. It sounds cool. It's better to just have your so good.
Well, it's funny you say that. You have such an incredible voice and such a wide-ranging voice and recognizable voice. What do you have to do to warm up? What do you have to do to get it there? Because I can't imagine, and I know probably a lot of people think that you can just automatically turn it on, but I can't imagine that you do.
I still do my old school choir warm-ups from that I learned in junior. Yeah, just going up the scales. It's just like stretching before you work out. Mm-hmm. So, at the bottom, don't go too fast, take your time, go up and down, 5 notes at a time, da 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 da, in every vowel that you want,
Right.
Get as high as you can, go crazy style, get all the way back down. So then when you start hitting it with emotion, which always pushes it harder, it can come without hurting, because I've done it before where I haven't warmed up enough and it messes, you can't finish, like it stops you. It's like pulling a muscle. It hurts. It sucks. Then you can't hit anything. And then you're out after like 2 or 3 songs. So it's really kind of like just like warming up, like stretching it out before you run a long race. So you can have that longevity to get through the end of the show.
Well, you've done the 3-hour shows, haven't you? The super long marathon.
It's gotten longer the older I've gotten. Yeah, like when we were starting out, it was still difficult to do. Like an hour set was like really a lot.
Right.
And our songs are. I challenge myself a bit much in the writing in that way, where I could maybe be easy on myself, and I'm not. But you learn to kind of like find the way, like know what's coming, anticipate it, save up for that note, and then like pull back a little bit after in a way that nobody notices. There's a little bit of like this weird art to it, you know,
Mhm.
that then you can kind of commit to muscle memory and get used to. So we've gotten up to a little more than an hour and a half. That's the longest I've done.
Gotcha. Well, listen, the new album, of course, has now been available for a little bit, The Bitter Truth, and Evanescence's first album in, it's 10 years, right? I mean, it's a decade between
Yeah.
original
Oh,
Evanescence. So what was the hang up, Amy? Why was it so long? Why you got to keep us waiting like that?
Birth the child.
What?
I don't know.
That's
Did
important, I
some
guess.
score. I don't know, hung out with my family. I lived life. I kind of, I had never have wanted to look at this at my band like this is the work that I have to do, and inevitably, you know, when you make an album and you care about it, it does become like that to a degree. But I never want it to feel like this thing that I have to do, or that like this is the only thing that I can do, and it's just got to happen. It needs to come from just a true desire to want to do it. So every time I've kind of just like let myself imagine that it's over. Honestly, at the end of every album and touring cycle, I'm like, okay, let's find out what's next. Let's see who I am now. Let's see what I want to do, and sort of follow that train. It's interesting all the places that has taken me down some roads that I didn't know that I would go down. I have a lot of awesome people that I have collaborated with and made friends with. Dave Egger and Chuck Palmer are two of those people. We spent a lot of time together in New York. And it's interesting because Dave Egger plays cello. If you've seen, you know, live or acoustic or whatever things from us over the past 12 or 13 years, you've probably seen before. He's amazing. And he's just this really creative, talented guy, but he's from the classical world. He's also from the jazz world. Like he's one of those crazy, extremely just smart, talented guys that can keep him in jazz. I don't like jazz. Okay. Like that's not cool to me. But then you hear these people shred and you're like, whoa, jazz and metal actually have a lot in common. And there's cool things to it, like in a nerd way. So it's interesting because we did a couple things together that kind of dipped into that world, dipped into the world. He also is into like this, I'm going to say it wrong. It's either Appalachia, Appalachian.
The Appalachians.
Stuff too. Like there's been like hints of that stuff come into our world. It's cool if you just like allow yourself to learn from other creative people and allow yourself to just try things you don't know what you might be good at, and contrast is really cool too. So for example, for him to be that kind of guy, for me to be the musician that I am, for us to come together and make something that's like a completely unique combination sometimes where we both get each other, but you know there's a new combo happening. So we did a score for a movie called Blind together. It had that. It was like in New York, and it had a little bit of this like jazzy New York vibe sometimes, and then other times it was dark and scory. I don't know. It's just cool to go down those roads. And what's cool about going all those different roads, making a kids album with my family, all that, is that every time, eventually, you know, sometimes it takes a while, but it leads me back here in a real place. And I'm really grateful for the fact, just mentally and spiritually, that I have that total assurance about who I am, and that the music that I'm making when we make a new Evanescence album is truly from my heart and in my core what I want and who I am. And I've been doing that all along. So it's not like I ever have to feel like, I don't know, am I just kind of like trying to keep doing the thing that I did good one time and everybody likes Bring Me to Life and I can do another one of those? I don't want to do that. If it was like that, I would have quit.
Understand. There's no BS. There's no BS with your music. And I think that's
authentic.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing that holds true when you listen to an Evanescence song, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, you can't ever deny the fact that it's not true and it's not real. You can tell that's not phoned in. I guess.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's funny you mentioned the metal jazz thing. So right before we started here, I was talking about the guitars I have behind me on the floor, that one of them's in pieces because I'm fixing it. My original guitar teacher, his name is Jason. He lives in Seattle, and he's a jazz guy, like hardcore, plays in probably 9 different groups, but he's a jazz guy. Him and his wife go on tour as a little like 1920s style jazz duo. It's amazing, and he's incredible, and he is the fastest guitar player I've ever seen play in my life. He also plays in a prog metal band.
Totally.
So
All these
it makes
people like
perfect
do
sense.
it does. Depends
So,
on the type of jazz, but yeah.
right. I gave up and went to punk rock, but that's just me.
Yeah. We easy riff, it only takes a few chords to make a rock.
That is the truth. What I know you talked about scoring a little bit ago in the movie Blind. What got you into that? Because that's a different level of musicianship. That's not writing 3 chords for a rock and roll song. You have to take all this different sounds and put it to what's on screen. I can't even imagine.
It's so fun. That was really like my real dream before the band. The band was a dream too, for sure. But I don't know. It always seemed like it would be so cool if our band got signed. It would be so awesome if we made it and we could be a rock band. But come on, let's not be stupid. Like, let's be realistic. I'm gonna have to go to school for something, and what I want to do, what my first passion in music really was about Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer and Beethoven and Mozart and composers. And then, after that, it was like alternative and hard rock in the 90s happened. And that combination kind of made Evanescence. But it really was these two kind of things that I saw that I really deeply wanted in my life. And on one hand, it was contemporary music, like being in a band, but on the other hand, really on a deeper, earlier level, it was this scoring. So, we had the band, but I also went to college for a minute before we got signed, and it was, theory comp. And I was like heading down the road of like, cool, I hope our band hits. But in the meantime, I'm gonna learn the hard part. I'm gonna do theory composition, and I can play piano, and I know that the hard part is the math and really learning all the instruments. But I want that because the emotion of music, really creating something bigger than yourself, being able to put yourself inside the minds of the character or, the audience. It's the feelings that you want to feel that are about that. And you can hear from our band, it's all about the feelings. That's so me. So that dream, I always thought, cool, maybe someday, now with the band happen, that's awesome. But I always have still held on to that idea of that would be cool. And I have gotten to dip my toe into a little bit. I have not taken on an entire score by myself. I wouldn't say that I'm on that level. It would just take a long time. It's better with the collab. It's better when you can find great people to work with. Everybody makes something awesome. And when you need something, you call your friend and go, ooh, we need, a hammer dulcimer on this part or whatever, do that. I love it. And I would like to do it more. It's fantastic. It lets me step outside of it always being about me and my heart and my experiences and my emotions and my story. It feels really good sometimes to be able to step out of that and just think outside yourself and push towards sort of a broader idea, or even specifically somebody going through something that you haven't exactly gone through, but putting yourself there.
I think back in the day, it would have seemed a little unheard of for a rock musician to do a movie score, especially on a grand stature. And now, of course, Trent Reznor has won Oscars doing it. And he was our hero. So
my hero.
in rock and roll. And you have done it as well. And there are other people that do it too. And it's in video game soundtracks and just it's really neat. It's really cool to see the real musicians in this world,
Yeah. I love it. It's cool. It's to be introduced to a new world of people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to The Bitter Truth and the new Evanescence album, of course, the song Better Without You has been, cranking up on radio around the country. I imagine there will be others as well. But you released a lot of songs before the album had even come out. So talk to me about not necessarily one of the songs, but the album as a whole. What you lived all those experiences. You mentioned the children's album that you did, the movie, all of that stuff, being a mom. How much of that personal life intake really got into this album and differentiated the sound from some of the older Evanescence before all those life experiences happened?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. I try to write from my core. So I have learned a lot and I've experienced a lot more than I had when I was 17, 18, 19, writing the songs for Fallen. So in a way, I just feel like it's just expanded my understanding and my heart and my bravery as well. In the beginning, I feel like there was more fear or more, I don't know, just like insecurity or like a desire to be understood exactly, or people are not going to understand like what I mean or who I am, or how do I sum up everything about me in this one song? That's impossible.
Right.
I think that with the experience of making all this music, but also living all this life, it just makes you feel a little bit more secure and strong and like, okay, I know who I am. It's cool with me. I've already done some cool stuff. Like I'm going to do more. And every single word that I say, it matters. It super deeply matters, but it's not that I have to constantly be proving exactly who I am because people are only going to see this one little snippet. I just don't think of it that way anymore. I think that like being a mother, like it's interesting because the music in so many ways, like it's heavy as shit. Like it's
Right.
not like, oh, I became a mom and it turned like something that he and I can listen to together. This is mine. This is for me. And I want him to grow up and be proud of me and all those things, but I'm not trying to make it for him. I'm making it for me, like as true as I can be. And he's a huge part of my life and I love him so much. And I don't know, I think it adds to the depth of the person that I can be. And I'm hoping always that can come out in the music.
Just wait till you get the Mom, I don't want to hear your song again. God.
That's every day.
All right.
I can't, if it has a music video, he's into it. He like loves the visual. He's really into like science and special effects and wants to like go through the details of how we made stuff happen. When it comes to just like listening to songs in the car, it's too intense. It's just like, this is loud, like turn on The Weeknd, on Aurora. Yeah.
That's funny. My daughter is 12. How old is your son?
Almost 7.
Almost 7. Okay. So my daughter is 12 and she just started listening to Nirvana. And it's awesome.
Yes. Great.
And it's so awesome.
Great time to be.
I know. I'm like,
yeah, it's good.
We went to the record store and she bought that. And I'm like, Live and Loud on vinyl. I'm like, what? I love
How
you.
awesome is it to be able to relive it?
What's that?
Yes. How awesome is it to be able to relive that stuff with your kids?
Oh,
like it brings you back. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Remembering what it was like when you heard it for the first time. And yeah.
Exactly.
So cool.
My Jack got into video games. He's just now like, oh, I can play Mario Party pretty good. Like he can keep up and like play the game. So every day we have to play Mario Party. Makes me so happy. That's like my favorite thing to do. Besides music is just like, that's my chill vibe, is just like play video games. And I finally have a little dude to play with again. Makes me so happy.
That's awesome. I also have a 9-year-old son and we play a lot of video games, although he's in the Fortnite realm now. So
okay.
It's Dad.
We're not there.
PlayStation, I want to play Fortnite. Like, no, I want to play.
Get it. I know. How you can connect with people through like all this time that we've had to spend apart. Everybody can get together and hang out.
Yep. Well, it became a huge thing during the pandemic, especially because him and his best friend could sit and play, and talk and play Fortnite, and we couldn't obviously go out and see people. So that was huge, actually. Speaking of going out and seeing people, we're gonna go out and see Amy Lee of Evanescence play with one of my absolute favorite human beings on the planet in Hailstorm. They are the absolute best. This is a tour, man. This is going to be awesome. Plush is also going to be opening up, which is a newer band who have been really cool. We just featured them on the show a couple weeks ago. This is going to be a cool tour. And the voices of female rock, man, powerful on this one.
It's happening. So happening. I'm very excited. We, didn't take the opener choosing lightly. Like we really care. Both of us, Leslie and I, we talked about it a bit and we were torn. I really, really love Plush and I'm excited about them and they're brand new. I think they're still, writing their music. But it feels so good to watch them. Like, I'm just like, that is it. I want to be the people that give them a chance to like go on a big tour. Like, I want to be part of their first big tour. And then the other one, Lilith Star, is really cool too. And that's another vibe that's exciting and fun and new to me too. So
Yeah, I didn't know much about her, and I just got sent her song yesterday as a, hey, check this out. It's on Octane, you know, whatever. And it's really good.
Yes. Women, Sporty Women, gas. I always just want more and more and more. You like get me going. I'm like, okay, now let's put together like a whole festival with like 10 bands and like, you know, chicks rule. But
Just
that's for the future. That's
don't call it Lilith Fair though.
No. We'll call it something where, you know, it's metal stuff.
Lilith Slayer. I don't know. Exactly, right? All the heavy. There is such an influx of female fronted female men, like all of that in the world of hard rock. Like, you know, obviously female musicians have existed forever. It's just for whatever reason, it really, besides the occasional it never snuck through and stayed for a real long time. And it has in the last decade. And I think that's been amazing. To see
I agree.
guys and Pretty Reckless and Hailstorm. Obviously, the list goes on, but I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool.
It's inspiring and empowering. Very happy.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. You cut out.
Inspiring. It's empowering. It makes all of us very happy. The more that we see each other out there, the more like, yes, we're doing it. We feel, and you're right. It is about the hard rock world, heavy music. The metal, the hard rock, like all those festivals that Lizzie and I have been on so much over the years, like we have so often been the only girl. Like that's just kind of the way that it used to be, and it doesn't feel that way anymore. It's just, it feels like we, you know, some doors have been kicked down and it's just getting a lot broader in a lot of ways, and it feels right.
I noticed this a couple of weeks ago. There was a band. I don't know if you've heard of them yet. They're called All Good Things. And I had the singer on. And when I was just researching the band, you know, looked up to see exactly who all the members were. And you know, one of the main songwriters in the band is a girl. And it didn't faze me. I didn't think about it. It didn't notice it until later on, like when we were talking about it in the interview. And I thought, what a great feeling that was, because I didn't notice it. You know what I mean? Because it's normal now. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way it always should have been. But it is now. And I love that. So I love that you guys are doing this tour. And I love the fact that it is what it is. And not to mention the music's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're real excited. We're still, you know, far off enough that we don't know exactly what we're going to do. I mean, I know we're going to be playing a ton of new music, but we haven't figured out the extras. There's got to be some extras. There's going to be some fun thingies. We have to put together some surprises.
I was just going to say, with as many collaborations as Lizzie has done, as you have done, there's going to be some crossover. You know
totally.
what I mean?
We
between the artists.
I love singing with Lizzie. It's a special thing. I love collaboration in general, but there's something. She's just a killer vocalist. And to be able to sing with somebody who's a killer vocalist just feels really good, you know, like that together we can do things that I can't do by myself. Like we recorded, you know, that break in redo that they did, I think it was in 2019. And it was such a cool experience to sing like live with her in the moment like that and remember what it was like on tour, but you know, even more in the studio where you could just really hear each other. And we recorded it like live takes, like we were standing next to each other singing it. So we had to both get it great for that to be the take, you know? And I was surprised how well that worked. Like that was an intimidating idea from our producer. And then it was so cool to hear it back that I really am looking forward to singing with Lizzie. So whatever we do, we're totally going to do something. I don't know what, but I'm looking forward to it. It breaks things up. It gets us out of, you know, just our set and our routine and our music and whatever the set's going to be, and lets it be anything. It's a place where we can kind of do whatever we want. So awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Tour kicks off end of summer and goes into fall.
Actually, right? Yeah, November, December tour.
November, December. I'm sorry. I thought it was. There have been so many tour announcements. It's mind blowing. I did a show a couple weeks ago. I did the whole countdown where I'm like, well, we're going to spend the whole show. Every band has just announced a tour that we're playing. So except like A Day to Remember, I think. Like that was it was the only band out of all of them that hadn't announced a tour. I'm like, this is incredible. And it's obviously we sat on the sidelines for so long. It's time.
We're so ready to get back. Everybody is, just to go see concert. It's going to feel so good. It's going to be like one of those things too, where it's great that everybody's announcing things. So you can really pick and choose like, ooh, what are my favorite bands that I've been like dreaming I could go to their concert, and then I'm going to go.
Right. A lot of vacation, and can I work some overtime in between so I can afford it? I think that's the
Exactly.
other key of that. You meant, just to go back to the women in rock thing. When you were getting into music, when you decided you wanted to be in a rock band, who was it? Was it another woman? Was it, a rock star woman? Was it somebody else? Like, what was the song? What was the band or artist that really got you into the fact that you're going to sing in a hard rock band?
I can't say one, but it's interesting. Like, I didn't think about gender that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a topic right now. I think it's great. We're talking about all kinds of things that, like, hey, let's inclusivity. It's like big right now, and I love it. It's so right on. But I wasn't hyper before we got signed. This is like when we were kids starting the band. I thought it was cool because I could do things that guys couldn't do. I could hit high notes that they couldn't hit, and we could play in different tunings, and like I just felt like it was a bonus, like just as far as like the timbre of my voice, and the fact that it contrasted. I love contrast in music. I love when you can put something really dark with something really light, or put something really heavy with something beautiful, and having a voice that I can, display my femininity and contrast it with like a lot of aggression, in the band. To me, it just always was just a cool idea. It was just a fun idea. I just felt good. And it was something that I thought was somewhat unique at the time. But bands that were inspiring me, I got super, super inspired by Nirvana as well. Okay. But it was like also not so much the rock part, but just the alternative world of music. Bjork that's been my number one ever since I first saw Human Behavior on TV when I was like 12 years old. And it was like, maybe 13. I'm obsessed with you now. So somewhere between Bjork, Soundgarden, Nirvana, a little bit of Metallica, and also Tori Amos and Smashing Pumpkins, and so many just cool bands that were crossing over all kinds of boundary lines. Garbage, I have to mention that. Massive Attack. Like, I like music. It wasn't so much about like, I want to be like her or I want to be like him. Mm-hmm. I thought that what I liked about all those bands actually that I mentioned is that they're all unique from each other or anything else. Like, what it is when you hear Nirvana, what it is when you hear Bjork. Like, there is no other one that is like that. And that, to me, that authenticity and uniqueness was what I was striving for. And that would have to come out in a new form for it to be unique. And that's what we are.
I went to college in Madison in the late 90s, and talk about garbage. Jesus, they could do no wrong. And it was amazing. And you'd run into them. There's Butch Vig, just there he is. There's Shirley Manson. There she is at a bar. You're like, just awesome. So cool.
I was living in Little Rock where like nothing ever came to us. We didn't get all the coolest concerts. But one of my first concerts that super impacted me was Smashing Pumpkins and Garbage was opening. I think it was in like 97 or 98. Maybe 96. Yeah. And it was so cool. So good. I went because I love them both, but I was a big Smashing Pumpkins fan. Sure. But then after seeing it live, solidified Garbage. I was like, okay, this is another greatest band ever.
That's awesome. Thank you for giving me my next playlist to listen to when I work out. I appreciate it. Gotta dig back into some of that stuff. Some of that stuff I haven't listened to. Bjork, man, I loved Bjork too for a little bit.
I've been working on a playlist of just like the ultimate Bjork, like just a complete guide, B-sides, remixes, just the best of it. Like my favorite. I'm going to put it out. I'm just going to put it on our Spotify thing this week. I'm doing it.
There you go. You can do
making a commitment to myself.
You can do a whole book and reference guide. The Definitive Bjork by Amy Lee. Amy, thank you seriously so much. I've taken up a lot of your time, but this has been a cool conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Me too. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome.
See you on
Good luck.
tour? Come to a
Yeah,
show?
I hope so. None of the shows are actually coming anywhere near where I live currently, but road trips.
I think there's still a couple that are blurred out that are going to not be blurred out soon. So we'll see. Maybe.
Okay. I hope so. Not like it wouldn't be worth the road trip. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I know that.
Of course.
Well, see you out there then.
All right.
Until then.
Take care.
Okay.
Cutter's Rockcast.
Don't forget to tune in. Exactly.